Do me a favour, hit the subscribe. Well, that's the 10th time I've tried to say that line with subscribe in it, so I hope you've done it. What some people will be asking maybe then, why isn't a penalty try? It's more of a leaving a leg reaction rather than a deliberate trip. Brian, really? Well, I am disappointed. So many highlights from the weekend. Sarah Cox became the first woman to referee a Gallagher Premiership. Well done, Sarah. This familiar face showed that he can be light on his feet, and we'll divulge a little bit more into that historic 100th game between South Africa and New Zealand. We'll be looking into that in more detail later on, but now is my favourite part of the week, answering your Emirates fans questions. Oh, that's a bit better. In the warm, well, a little bit warmer. Right, let's crack on. Dave Atkins asks, question. If a player trying to steal a ball in a ruck pretends or acts as if the ball was held when in fact it is available for him to steal in order to milk a penalty, what should the outcome be? That's a very, very good question, because that is something that does happen. Players will try to win penalties when the ball is clearly available. Now, what the referee should do then is say, ball available, play on. And then if that player then tries to go back and win that ball, then it should be a penalty against him, because he can only get his hands in there before the ruck is formed. Once the ruck is formed, if your hands are not already on the ball, you have to let it go, because you can't use your hands in the ruck. Manuel 67, or R Manuel 67. Hello from New Zealand. Question. Players have the trackers on how many meters they travel. Do referees have the same? If not, how many kilometers do you think a referee would run in a test match? Oh, now then. The most I've traveled, about 7,000 kilometers. Well, how far is New Zealand from here? No, in a game, yeah, we do wear the GPS or the trackers, yes we do. Some referees actually run 9, 10, 11 kilometres. I sort of averaged around the sort of 7-ish, 7.5, sometimes 6.5, sometimes it'd be up to 8. But I was around the 7.5. And I think probably when you get older and more experienced, then you don't really need to run everywhere, because you can read the game, and that's why you tend to see the more experienced older referees probably tend to cover a bit less on the GPS. The younger referees, just because they like running, because they're younger, they just run everywhere. James Richard asks, who is the best centre pair of all time? Ooh, now you're asking something now, aren't you? Now you are asking a question now, James. And I'm going to answer this on players that I've refereed, obviously, okay? O'Driscoll and Darcy for Ireland, to Manonu and Conrad Smith. You forgot your name there, Conrad. If I have to choose between them, I'll go for Conrad Smith and Manonu, because particularly around the 2015 World Cup final, when they were at their peak, and also leading up to that game over those few years as well. So they probably would be the best, but O'Driscoll and Darcy as well, they were good. Now, before we get into Whistle Watch, do me a favour, hit the subscribe button. If you're wondering why I'm smiling, I've been trying to do this line now 10 times. Subscribe in it, so I hope you've done it. Right, it's Whistle Watch time. Now then, some great rugby this weekend. New Zealand claimed the Rugby Championship with a game to spare after beating South Africa in their 100th test match between the two old rivals. Now, although there are a few too many penalties maybe in the game for my liking, but I'm going to have a look at a few of them for you and try to explain why the referee gave them, and the potentially penalty that changed the outcome of the game. Let's look at the first one. Penalty for blocking an opposition player. Great pick-up here by Luke Pearce, a referee. You can see the New Zealand player. He just runs across, preventing Etspeth then from getting and competing for the ball. So if the player was running back to try and get that ball himself, as long as he's naturally running back, it'll be play on. But because he looks to see where the chases are coming from and then runs across to try and block, then that is a penalty offence. Yellow card for against South Africa, and again, this is a pretty easy decision to give, really. His hand goes out one-handed, he prevents a pass, class as a deliberate knock-on or making no attempt to catch it. Now, what some people will be asking maybe then, why isn't a penalty try? Well, the reason why, as Luke Pearce explained, is because there was cover there, what the referee has to decide, would a try probably be been scored? And the answer to that is no. Would a try possibly been scored? Yes, maybe possibly, but possibly is not good enough. Now, the last penalty, which gave the match-winning penalty, was the turnover penalty. And again, if you see the New Zealand player is in on his feet, is in legally after the tackle, so he's not the assist tackler, and he has the rights to try and win that ball. South Africa don't release, and therefore it is a correct penalty. So nothing controversial about that one, although it is a big call always at the end of the game when it can make a difference between winning and losing. Australia 27, Argentina 8. Now Australia really have been hitting a bit of form recently, haven't they, under Dave Rennie? Now then, in that game, we saw Hodge sidestepping past Kramer, and the Argentinian flanker sticks out the leg as he gets wrong-footed. The referee didn't see at the time, but then that's what you want the TMO for, to come in and sweep things that the team of three on the field haven't seen, and it's a yellow card. Some people are asking, why isn't it a red? Because in law, tripping a player should be dangerous play and is a red card. But on this instance, I think that the referee has got it right, because the player is wrong-footed and it's more of a leaving a leg reaction rather than a deliberate trip. If it was a deliberate swing out and deliberate trip, then it should be a red card. But I think on this occasion, a yellow card is a fair call. Right then, to celebrate the New Zealand-South Africa 100th Test match between the two nations, World Rugby have set me a challenge of 100 Test match test round. Oh, then this will be interesting. Here we go. Across the 100 tests, which team has won the most games? New Zealand. How many times have the two teams drawn? 7? 4. Oh. Who is the top individual point scorer in those tests? I'm going to go for Carter. It is Carter, is it? Oh, I thought so. Who has been in more World Cup finals? New Zealand, 4 times, is it? Yes. Not bad on this, actually. What was the score between the two sides in the 2013 test at Ellis Park? Well, I should know this, I refereed it. I'm going to go for... Was it 38-27? It was! Whoa! How many drop goals have South Africa scored against New Zealand? 23, 25. I'm going to go with 28. Oh, good guess. Who was the first player to reach 100 tests for the Springboks? John Smith. Oh, Percy Montgomery, was it? How many test tries did John Aluma score against South Africa? 4, 2, 3, or 0? I'll go for 4. See, none. Most yellow cards for the Springboks. Back is both there. Brian. Really? Well, I am disappointed. I am really disappointed. Let me know in the comments below how many of you got right. And no cheating now. None of this Googling and finding out the answers, mind. Right, here's a bonus question for you. How many of those test matches did I referee? Let me know in the comments below. Because I don't know myself, I'm going to have to check. Well, that's it for Whistle Watch this week. Now, I can't stop and chat. Some of us have got work to do. But as I said, if you pick up anything from the games the weekend you want to chat or discuss about, or even ask my opinion on, then let me know in the comments below. See you next week. Ta-da!